All right, welcome back to the community roundtable. Hey, I'm Brother Brian, and as I have each and every week, I got Brother Marcus. He's locked in, tuned in, and ready to go. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh man, I'm great. Happy to be here, sitting at the round table with somebody that's actually got a committed agenda. So I'm good.
Well, that's what we do. We commit to things that help ourselves, help our families, help our communities, and that's what it takes. One commitment at a time, making changes. Well, brother, we're at a time and place. I'm sorry. Let me back up a little bit. Go ahead and let the family know when we come to the round table, what do we do when we sit down and we E.A.T.
E.A.T for us is an acronym, which means evaluate all things. I'm gonna say that again for those who might not heard it. E.A.T for us is an acronym, which means evaluate all things. And that's what we do here at the round table, evaluate all things.
And that's what we have to do, not sometime, but all the time, focusing on what's most important as we EAT. Well, Brother Marcus, it's that time of the year again here in the city of Monroe. We're focused on elections. That's right, elections that are taking place. But before we get to that, there's a situation that took place back in 2004 with the Henderson family, William Henderson. Right now, they're saying that, hey, they want the FBI to reopen that situation that happened to their dad that was gunned down by the local authority, Monroe City Police Department here in town. And I'm pretty sure this is being revisited due to the national upscale of police shooting on individuals. And they're saying, hey, we want some justice because they feel that their situation was overlooked during that time of their life. Something happened to their family members, very tragic, and I can understand what they're saying because I remember when that went on. You were here. I don't know if you remember. We were on Winnsboro Road at Supreme Mart, and at that time we were selling scooters,
Right.
and they had a vigil going on in that alley. You and I rode down there on those brand new scooters that we were selling,
Oh
and
yeah.
as we were leaving, yours stalled out. They had to get it towed back. You remember them days?
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I remember. I remember the case vividly. You know, I understand what's going on. I was looking at that and I was saying, "Wow, I don't know if they're gonna get a chance to revisit the incident." But I mean, that was a tragic incident that didn't get much publicity in that at that particular time. They they did their own in-house investigation and they swept it under the rug in a sense. But I mean, hey, if they can get that case reopened, that'll be a good thing for them to be able to get some justice.
Yeah, because everyone needs closure. You know, when an individual's life is taken from them as a family member, that's what we seek for. We seek for in any type of civil or uncivil dispute in order to have resolution at it, we look for closure. And that's what they're asking. That's more than fair. Everyone should have closure in their life. And especially when a family member life has been taken by a government official. Very tragic.
Yeah. And then my thing was when the case happened, the brothers in the Nation of Islam came to the aid of the Henderson family at that time, and they was trying to push the issue, trying to get the cops fired or get some kind of a real investigation going in the process. And they turned the situation on the brothers in the nation, like they was uh, uh, escalating a situation to the point where it could be tension in the community. But this guy got shot 17 times, and this should have been some kind of real investigation done in order to get some real calm to the storm.
Yeah, and that's what we look for. We want to use our local authorities that have been put in place, and so they can be trusted, put in place. They're in a state of trust, and just seeking closure. We receive closure through information, and that's what we have to do: receive information. Because in the event if you don't, people will become uncivil, and that's why organizations like the FOI they came to the need of the family. So they really, in my opinion, they were really controlling the situation by being peaceful and also with an open door policy. So we have to look at these things that take place in our community. And as time has evolved, we can sit back and, in hindsight, we can sit back and evaluate it, as we say, EAT, and saying that
Yeah.
things should have went better than it did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think we had like two situations. They happened back to back. The Henderson family, and then another young gentleman on South 8th Street. Uh, he had him and his wife had some kind of little incident in their driveway. Police came to the scene, and they thought the guy had a gun and shot him down as well. And nothing really happened about that situation. But it wasn't this kind of high tension about police brutality in the community neither. So
Mm-hmm.
the people wasn't galvanized around the situation. They just let whatever happen because the police told them, okay, this guy had a weapon. We had to do what we had to do, and that shouldn't be the case. We should be able to police the police. I mean, because they supposed to be for the people, by the people.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be getting justice for us or some equality for us, represent us. But sometimes they get caught up in their policing and end up harming the community instead of helping the community.
Yeah, exactly. We have to get to the stage where we all are as not as one, but we work together. As they are peace officers, we are the public that they actually serve. And so we have to get to that stage once again that, hey, let's work together. And to the individuals in the community, get involved. There's no way around it. We have to get involved at all different levels. And
That's the
that's what's going
process.
on right now. Go ahead.
That's a process. People scared to get involved. They thinking if they get involved, oh, it's going to affect them some kind of way. They might lose their job, this, and the third. So the involvement becomes not about the people. They scared. They scared of retaliation. So they saying, oh, I ain't forget that. It ain't my family. It ain't no. It ain't a part. It ain't got nothing to do with me. So I'm not gonna say a word. I'm gonna let whatever happen happen.
Well, we have to sit back, as you mentioned earlier, we have the E.A.T. and think about that and evaluate it. In the event people are afraid or they're fearful of getting involved, doing what's right in their own community because of retaliation, they may be forced or pressure placed upon them about economics, the loss of economics. Let's evaluate that, because I know last week when we had Elijah, your nephew, on the line with us, and you asked us straight up, and you hit us dead in the forehead. Do we have any sense?
Yeah.
CENTS, sense.
Yeah.
If we had sense, we may not allow others to put us in the state of loss due to economics.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole key. I mean, with any community trying to go to the next level, or a group of people trying to go to the next level, they have to have some cash flow. If you don't have no cash flow, ain't no way your condition gonna change. Your condition can change overnight if you had some cash flow to be able to provide services and a system to be able to provide for the community. If
Mm-hmm.
you ain't got those funds in play, then you can't do anything. You can't build houses without no cash. You can't build a banking system without no cash. You can't build grocery stores without any monetary funds. You see what I'm saying? These are the essential things that you need in the community to keep it thriving. You create jobs by having cash flow to create jobs. If you don't have that, and when most people talking about leaders and people that, what's your agenda? Where you get the cash flow from? That's what you got. That's what need to be asked. The community need cash flow see, that's why we so far behind. We just up from slavery. We for real, the civil rights movement put a lot of civil legislation in place that we can have some equality or whatever, but we didn't have any cash flow to start off with. We started from behind the eight ball. They let us go 1863, 1865, whichever number date that you choose. They let us go without any means of income, without any means of having the ability to provide for self. We always talk about do for self and having a program, but we had no cash flow, so we just started from the what the people say in the street. Man, I started from the mud, but not understanding the seriousness of starting from the mud and then being able to galvanize the people around you and say, okay, let's pool our resource and let's make this thing bigger. One individual gets something. Oh, I ain't sharing this information with nobody else. Now we got to share the information and provide a system so we can keep on taking that cash flow up, and up. There's only 1,000 some odd people control all the monetary cash flow in the United States. That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, yeah. Let's bring it back home so we could really break it down and evaluate it so people can actually understand it. Because I know that what you're speaking about is in the event if we don't have what is called resources, we will always be in a state of solvency, and we'll also be in a state of need. But if we started to work together to get involved on something you've mentioned years over and over and over called I had to write it down, collective economics,
Yeah,
group economics. You even broke it down to what you phase as something called the family savings fund or the family savings plan. Give
yeah.
us a little example of what this thing of group economics that you broke it down to the most micro level dealing with the family.
Yeah, I mean, back when I came off my extended vacation, I started to talk to my family members about uh, dealing with cash. And all of us was wage workers at the time. So I pointed out 10 members in the family and say, we're going to start an extended family fund. Well, we put up $1,000. We put up $1,000 a piece, and we let that $1,000 become a banking system for us in case we need any cash. My car could maybe break down or something. I need $500. I would go in the extended family fund, borrow the $500 and pay it back at 7 to 8% interest on that $500, and then let that family fund keep uh, gaining momentum and growing. And if somebody else needed some cash flow to do something else different, and then plus sit back and think about what we can do with the cash flow to start our own business. You see what I'm saying? And each year put that $1,000 on top of the cash flow that we already have saved up, and just keep it growing. And then we created an economic system for ourselves. We wanted to worry about begging anybody or needing anything when something happens in the family. We already have the cash flow there. I mean, that can happen on any level with any family or any group. So you'll be able to have something uh, to have a vested interest in, and
Mhm.
then you work harder to grow it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely makes sense if we break it down to as small as micro level. But a lot of us, we don't really focus or think about it. Let's take things that we already participate in, and it's based upon the same theory, the same business model. Car insurance,
Yeah,
life insurance,
yeah,
homeowners insurance. Insurance in general is based on something that's called large numbers. A group of individuals put into a pool, and out of that pool, maybe only 10% will have to pull out,
yeah.
and each month you're always putting into this pool and always putting in. You're investing into this pool. Same thing that can happen at a micro level, like you just explained the extended family. What is this extended? What?
Extended family fund.
Right,
See, but with the pools you just talked about, you never get nothing back. I paid insurance for 10 years. I got to have an accident to get something back. You
right.
know,
But it's that 10% that does make the claim.
right?
If it wasn't for that business model, they wouldn't be able to pull out. So
Yeah,
the individually, you may not be able to pull out, but it's a collective effort, and that's what we got to
oh yeah,
look at. It's a
oh yeah,
collective
definitely.
effort.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the model in a sense. But like I say, when you talking about uh, a group of people paying into a dividend
A
a,
fund or
a fund or whatever, and not being able to get nothing back is the whole thing. When they get when in this extended family fund or the fund that we talking about creating, we talking about being able to have something or getting a dividend uh, some kind of proceeds back after the fact that you don't gain some interest or accumulated some more funding. You get the dividend back, like if you was like you was had your money in a bank.
mhm.
You get 0.5% interest on your $100 that you got in the bank. Same thing happens with the extended family fund. You get something back for your investment. And the insurance company, but we as a people, we never question why we don't get anything back for having insurance. We automatically go get it. Oh yeah, I got to get insurance for my car. Same thing should be able to be done when it's talk about your family, extended family. Oh, I got to put this $1,000 up every year in order to keep my family growing, and growing. You shouldn't be worried about where the money's going or where it ain't going. See, but in insurance, I gotta have it because it's federally mandated that you have. So it should be mandated that you put $1 back to be able to help your family grow as a family.
Yeah. Definitely the local ordinances or statutes of each state, they definitely mandate in order to attempt to protect the body from property damage. And so as we look at and certain elements are mandated for property, what about life itself? Since there's not anything mandated for life, looks like sometimes we become a little bit uh, reserved by not investing in our own self.
Oh yeah, that's why I always talk about a black tax. A black tax. You know, I'm a black man in America. I shouldn't have a problem with paying $1 back to the black tax. If they say we got 30 million people, 30 blacks in America, 30 million blacks in America. If we just pay $1 a piece, that's $30 million a month. $30 million a month times 12. What is that? That's millions and millions of dollars that we can do something other than keep begging for masters to provide us a meal on our table. We can provide our own meal with that black tax dollar. You see, these are kind of ways, these are things that we need to think about and start to implement and not worry about what our next president is going to do for us. No, what we're going to do for ourselves. SOS, we can save ourselves overnight if we start to think about what's going on with our cash flow that we have in our possession. I was also thinking about, Netflix. All of us got it in our household, right? They got 253 million subscribers, man, paying $12.99 a month. Man, that's billions of dollars a month that they generate. If we thought along the same kind of lines as those major companies think about how they pull in $12 to $15 a month per subscriber or per person, then we won't be crying about where the money's going. We already know where the money's at. You see, and that's what we got to start to do as a group of people, to think about how we can provide for ourselves instead of worrying about what the next candidate gonna do for us.
Yeah, collective
Empty promises.
bargaining. I had cut you off. What you say?
No, I say empty promises. That's what we keep
Well,
getting.
let's
Yeah.
talk about that. Collective bargaining equates to collective economics, collective resources. And let's talk about resources. Back in the 60s that you mentioned, the civil rights era, or back when the 15th Amendment presented itself, that was for us as blacks, minorities, no, as blacks, that we were able to vote. And as time went on, we were disenfranchised from that system. Once again, the magic word, system. So the civil rights era had to present itself in order for us to seek out justice. Now, isn't this a magical thing or a weird thing? How come we, as a population of people, we must fight for our rights for things that they ask us and beg us to do when it comes to voting itself? Now we're at a stage of voting throughout the years. We, 1965 Voting Rights Act, then it came back around again where the electors had to actually reinstate the Voting Rights Act. And then in 2013, it became dismantled. And we really hadn't said much about it since then. The only thing we've said was that your vote counts, or hold your vote, but we have not put the pressure on Congress to reinstate a couple of elements in the Voting Rights Act. So I ask, what's most important to us?
Man, I mean, you got to understand too, Brian, that most of us don't even understand the Voters' Rights Act. Why it occurred, why we vote, none of that. We never asked any of those questions. What happened in 2013, where they dismantled a portion of the Voting Rights Act? We not even thinking about that. Oh, I'm voting in my local election for the president or for the mayor, but understanding the act that took place in 1965, we really don't understand. I'm just voting because they say my vote counts. But what's the agenda? Who am I voting for? We never ask any of those questions. We just say, oh, I got to get out and vote. Or who they say running in the Democratic Party? Oh, yeah, I'm going to vote for them. And they ain't heard anything they have to say about their agenda. So 55 years later, we still doing the same thing. We still just just going through a routine. But this is no longer a routine. We got to get an understanding of who we voting for, what's the agenda, and why we vote, and re-educate. We got to go back and re-educate the youth, let them understand that why the Voting Rights Act came about in 1965, and how many people died and bled for this in order for you to be able to go out and cast your vote, how the system works, how we need to put different people in place that has our best interest at heart, instead of voting for the most popular person, instead of voting for the people and by the people and the interest of the people.
Now, sometimes people that are in line to run for different offices, they make us believe that, like in the Black community, that it's all about Black power. Because I'm Black, you're supposed to vote for me, and not focusing on we end up saying you're right, because I want to be loyal to that cause, the Black cause, be Afrocentric, and then I become deaf. I have a deaf ear to the agenda, and I never question that person's agenda.
No, we should know what his platform or her platform is before they even start to talk about they running for the office. Come out and tell me what's happening. Get the most qualified person. I'm not voting for the most popular person. What's your agenda? What's the next move? Where we going? How are you really qualified to run for mayor? Are you really qualified to run for Senate? What does the Senate entail? Local, state, federal, which one are you running for? I mean, we got to know these things, because all of it trickles down. It goes up and then it trickles back down. So we got to, and they connected. So we got to know what we're dealing with. It's like, most people go to school for political science. They talk about the politics of how systems work, how the Constitution is relevant to me and you. How the Constitution is relevant to me and you, how legislation was put in place for us to have certain equalities of life. We got to know why we got these particular rights. The civil rights movement put a lot of these things in place for us, but a lot of them has been rolled back. That's when we talk about the Voting Rights Act. They're trying to roll back the time on that, but they're doing it in southern cities, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas. These are states that
the 13 colonies,
freedom of slaves. That's why the Juneteenth thing came about. They say Juneteenth, 1865. 2 years later, those states like Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, they had just got the information that the slaves were free. So they called it Juneteenth. So now people are starting to embrace Juneteenth. Don't even know why. Misinformation sometimes be passed down. People just giving out folklore, and they think, oh, Juneteenth is just about the freedom of slaves. But now it's free-ish. No, we're not free until we control our destiny. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the president said that because of him, he made Juneteenth popular. No one knew about it prior to him.
Yeah, he was making a statement. He just did a political rally on Juneteenth. He was trying to show, man, that this day really doesn't matter. That's why he did that. It ain't because this dude is an idiot, and we only following his lead because the electoral college elected him to become our president. The popular vote didn't elect him to become our president. The electoral college did. That's why we got to understand all of these processes. That's why we got to understand all the things about what is voting and why we vote. Especially on a larger scheme of things for us, the presidency, we need to know how the electoral college works. Locally, our government works by the people, the populace vote. But on the bigger grand scheme of things, the president stuff, that's a different ball game, and we got to understand what's the playing field. And most of us don't, because we not. Sometimes they say men don't become actual mature until they in their 40s. Oh man, that's too late for us. We already behind the 8 ball for us understanding of growing as a human race, as a particular group of people in a racist society. We got to figure this thing out early and give it to our youth in a pattern where they understand. They understand the rhythm and where we going. And the only way they understand the rhythm and where we going is through showing them how cash flow, how the ability to control your own destiny works.
Well, let's keep that conversation moving forward. We're talking about, do we have any sense? CENTS. Now, that should equate to what was going on in our community now, Brother Marcus, is election time for districts one. I'm sorry, no, it is election time for all districts, but District 1, there's no opposer. So, but in District 2, 3, 4, and 5, and also the mayor of the city of Monroe, it's election time. And so we're currently, right now, we're in early voting, and it ends July the 4th, which is next Saturday, I believe. It ends July the 4th. And I think District 5, you have 4 or 5 individuals running. Same thing in District 4. District 3, I believe you have 2. And District 2, you have 2 individuals running. And so now we're at the point, we see the signs are back out. But as you and I were just discussing about the 15th Amendment gives us the right to vote, but more so the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, where some people are, well, the Voting Rights Act of Section 4 and 5 has been dismantled. Section 4, which is the formula, Section 5, which gives the pre-clearance. But some people are attempting and have always attempted to suppress our votes. Now, what I just realized, Brother Marcus, is that sometimes we are not able to identify what is suppression of the vote. So let's take what's going on right now with the COVID-19, the coronavirus. Right. Some individuals can file for absentee ballot because of the corona situation. However, the voter of registration, they have to approve it. But if they do not approve it, that can be looked at as a form of suppressing your vote if they don't want to send out a ballot, an absentee ballot. But because we can't identify that, we just overlook it, and now we got to take the risk of going to the polls. As long as all the polls are still in the same place, same location, these are the things we have to know before the day of voting or a week before. We have to have a strategic plan.
Well, I mean, they hoping that we don't come out anyway. They putting things again. We just mentioned about the things that's happening in Alabama, Louisiana, Texas. They require that you have a valid ID, whereas before 2013, they wasn't requiring that you have a valid ID or all of this stuff, and the pre-clearance stuff that they mentioned was had to go through the federal regulations or through the federal government in order to change certain things in the Voters Registration Act from city to city, state to state. But due to that incident with the Voters Registration Act in Shelby County versus what it is, I think Shelby County versus I can't think of the Attorney General. They changed some things. So once they changed the thing, a lot of states hurry up and roll back some of the stuff that they had required them to do. They say, okay, we're going to require them that they have a valid ID and the suppression of the vote. We're going to put things in place where they can't come out and they're not going to be able to vote. But we didn't look at that from that standpoint. We just thought, oh, they want us to have a valid ID. We didn't understand the rights that was put in place from the beginning. So we got to look back at that stuff and say, wow, okay, what do we do now? We got to keep on informing the people of how they should be looking at these different situations, and then say, okay, get out and vote. Your vote do count, but if you don't get out and vote, it doesn't count. And then vote for the qualified person in that particular district or in that particular race in order to gain a new reality of moving forward with equality, justice, and freedom. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're supposed to be looking for when we talk about these particular people running for office. Are they about the people? If they're not about the people and they don't understand politics, then don't vote them into office, because they're not going to be beneficial to us as a group, as a people moving forward with trying to establish something in a society that's been basically against them since they're since they're bringing over us from Ghana. You see what I'm saying? From the slave ships or whatever. We got to figure this thing out, and we got to hastily. We got to move fast to figure this thing out in order to affect the next generation, because the next generation is kind of really not looking at this process like we looking at.
Yeah, we definitely do. I mean, you dropped a lot of gems as you was breaking it down. So I want to go back and revisit as you're mentioning about Shelby County versus Holder. Eric Holder was Attorney General at the time. Let's take the Shelby County. Shelby County is in the state of Alabama. Now, history slowly repeats itself. If that is in the state of Alabama, we remember back during the Civil Rights era, during the Edmund Bridge, when what they call it Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
The individual were only attempting to register so many people by marching from Selma to Montgomery, and as they crossed the bridge, they were manslaughtered. So we got to sit back and E.A.T, as we always say, and ask ourselves, do we have any sense? And through that, as history repeats itself, now we're going through the same motions again, but in a more strategic manner through suppression of the vote. The coronavirus, in the state of Louisiana, coronavirus hit. Some people are still fearful for going to the polls. So why not mail these individuals absentee ballot, allow them to fill it out and send it back? But you have to have specific and certain circumstances in order to receive that ballot now. But just in the past few days, the weeks, we've seen where other states, even our state, Louisiana, the numbers have spiked. 2,000 and 3,000 cases, identified cases in a week. And you're telling me none of us actually qualify for this absentee ballot now? No, we have to get involved, understand, and how to identify what's taking place before our eyes. And you were mentioning about the ID cards. Let's get back and tie it together. The Shelby County versus Holder, the lawsuit, and the Supreme Court dismantled a portion of the VRA. And soon as that took place, the state of Texas implemented this new procedure, the voting ID laws, and he said you must now have a specific ID to identify yourself. You must have a state ID, but you cannot use a school ID. It makes no sense to me. But you can use an NRA gun rights card.
Yeah.
Once again, we have to identify. I guess you made a statement, and I'm not trying to jump around, that as men, we become mature as we hit our late 30s or 40s. I think I'm at that stage. I'm at the stage, I'm no longer getting emotional about this. I'm actually listening to the verbiage and evaluate what's being said. They don't have to say, well, we don't want blacks or minorities to vote or participate. They can not secretively, but strategically disenfranchise you by what took place with the voter ID laws, what's taking place right now with the absentee ballots. It can be done strategically now, and we have to identify what's taking place.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, we got to go back. Like they rolling back stuff, we got to go back and look at why they was trying to get the Voters' Rights Act passed, and why we should be voting our interests. You know, we shouldn't be political game banging.
What you say?
The political game bang. That's what it be. I mean, the blues against the reds. You know, they say always, this is a red state, this is a blue state. We political game banging, and it's a death to the people. You know, because all of us are affected by this, and until we get that real freedom, justice, and equality, we'll never move past a lot of these issues that we have. You know, they train police a certain way to address a certain group of people. It's not only black people, it's Asian American, Latino American that's being affected by all of these different changes. But they make it black and white. You know, everything you hear is black and white. What about the Asian community? What about the Latino community? They the same. They being affected the same way that we are. But because we're emotional people, we coming out and saying, oh no, y'all ain't gonna keep doing this to us. You know, we're gonna stand up, you know, in certain cases. But we have to stand up with an agenda, with a concept, with an idea that say, okay, this is how we move forward with the Voting Rights Act, the changes, the issues that's happening local, statewide, and nationwide. We have to move forward this way. We can't allow them to keep on pushing their agenda on us and not saying anything about the issues at hand, which is right now the Voters' Rights Act, and rolling back the times on all of this stuff. You know, soon as President, our president came into office, he started trying to roll back everything that the prior president had laid out. So this is not nothing new. This is how they do. And I mean white people, European. This is how they do. They set up different systems so it can be to their advantage. We got to stop letting that happen by understanding who and what we're voting for. And that moves us to the next level with the process of understanding how we utilize cash flow.
Yeah, and cash flow is very vital. As you mentioned earlier in the program, we can't do anything, nothing at all, without actual a cash flow. And we're not talking about one-time money. It must be a residual effect. It must be constant, ongoing. Just because you make money today and then tomorrow you take a vacation for a couple of weeks. No, it's not set up like that. It must be a continuous process so that as you pull out, you can always be putting back in. And that's what we have to do. And if we're talking about we're trying to change a system or the people that are running, and we want to put different individuals in, we have to be able to support them financially, because signs cost, time costs. If you want this person to represent you, they have to take time off from whatever they do in their daily occupation, their family. So we have to support them. And the only way to do it is to focus on our greatest resource, and it's a job. The number one greatest resource outside of family is a job. We must have a job, whether it's a job you're employed by someone or you employ yourself. We have to get to that stage of working. Well, Mark, some people in our community, men, I'm only talking about the men, we believe that we can work 3 or 4 months and then take a vacation, and things should be the same, but it doesn't work that way.
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, we got to really figure out what's our industry. What can we provide? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, our biggest employee probably is what Walmart, Chase, or you know,
City of Monroe.
City of Monroe. You know, biggest employees. But what's the industry? What's our industry? You know, you got a bad company that we used to have, General Motors.
Now, you just mentioned something a little while ago before we started to show that a lot of brothers in our community, a lot of men say, hey, I'm going to take a stance and I'm going to become self-employed. So they went out and got into the transportation business. But then after a while, the transportation business over the road would take them away from their family. So now they decide, I don't want to do that. And they come back and we're back in the same rut again. But that's a great industry.
Yeah, transportation is a multi-billion-dollar business. You know, you got to study it though. You got to understand the geography of it, from state to state, city to city. You know, you got to figure out what you can transport that can make you money, what you can do to be a part of contributing to your community with the transportation system. You know, we got one of the oldest transportation systems in the United States, from Monroe, Louisiana. We was the first to establish transportation in a sense. You know. So you got
the bus system,
the busing system, the railway. You know, we had transportation from you can go from Monroe to California on railway. You know, we
from Monroe.
Yeah. But they moved that out. You know, they phased it out over time. But we have to look back at it to understand how we can bring it back. You know, this stuff is historical information that we can study to be able to provide new avenues and new ways to be able to make cash flow. You understand? You know, it's just a lot out there, but it comes with studying. It comes with understanding your economy, your city. You see what I'm saying? Those that's running for office, they have to understand that, how to bring jobs to the community. They think, oh, the mayor, he's supposed to bring jobs to the community. No, in fact, the people's supposed to bring the job. You create businesses, individual businesses, and create jobs for people that's in your community.
The private sector.
So when you galvanize each other, when you start to put those resources and those dollars and time together, that money together, you say, okay, oh, what can we produce? We can produce we used to produce a headlamp at General Motors here in Monroe, Louisiana. When the company phased that company out, they tore the whole building down, left just the frame. You see what I'm saying? So if somebody came back and put something else in that space to be able to provide jobs for the community. Same thing we can do. You know, we got stuff that we can provide. We just got to figure out what can we provide and use that capital that we save together and create a business for a group of people who owns it. The community owns it. Then you see.
Yeah, I mean, you make a valid point. Even if we cannot manufacture anything here, with these people that are in the transportation industry, they can travel down the road to another state, pick it up, and bring it back, or go to another state and drop it off through distribution. It's happening right before our eyes, but we have to really evaluate it, understand how industries, commerce takes place.
Yeah, and that comes with sitting down with people that understand the economy and understand how distribution works. You know, the logistics. You see what I'm saying? These different things had to take place by talking. You know, getting with each other. You know, you got a group of black guys. All of them got their CDL license. All of them got separate transportation companies. They can sit down and formulate something huger than they actually got as individuals. You see, everybody pulling cars, transporting cars.
Yeah, what they call it? They call it the authority.
Yeah, they have the authority to transport from city to city, state to state, and with that authority, you know, you pull the cars from place to place. So they can sit down and come up with a larger trucking company by sitting down and talking about, you know, hey man, I'm doing the same thing you doing. Let's merge the company. Let's make it bigger. Let's instead of me paying $20,000-$30,000 a year for insurance, let's pay it together to be able to transport these cars from state to state, city to city. You see what I'm saying?
Group collective economics.
Yeah, collective economics. And then you won't be just an individual trying to survive. You know, you're a multi-million-dollar company that survive with a group of 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 different men heading different departments in the transportation company. Then, you know, you got different cargo you can carry. You can carry mail. You can carry food. You can carry cars. There's a lot of different aspects of the carrier.
Everything, because everything has to be transported.
You can transport people. You see what I'm saying? And I was a common carrier at one time. Understand the concept, you know. So just the ability to sit down with each other and talk about what can happen and what can be more effective, and be able to go on a real business and make cash flow so you can support your family.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes sense. The more that we chat about it, and this is what we all must do: sit down at the table, the round table, and discuss it. We're talking about the cargo, we're talking about the transporters, and then what about the brokers that find the load? So now you got another opportunity to create jobs or to create employment. Then you have I'm in the insurance. Now you got insurance brokers that can provide insurance, and then you get other people in other states that has to warehouse the items. We could warehouse it here. We could ship it out. Then you got short runs. The opportunity is here, but until we accept the mindset that we can change ourselves through group collective efforts, but as long as we stay individual, that is not how the African diaspora was set up. We will focus on a culture. We will focus on a tribe, not being individuals. We lose as individuals. We need to rethink an E.A.T on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got the E.A.T all the time. Like I say, evaluating this stuff, you will look at it, you can say, okay, I can figure it out. They say 2 heads are better than one. You know, what's the use of having a partner that understands certain things and you can't run information by him or her to be able to say, okay, this is what we can do collectively.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense. So again, we got to find the most qualified people to provide this system in order for the others can actually eat from it too. You know, because we'll be able to provide jobs that's paying $15 to $20 an hour, $30 an hour. You on the road. You go work for some companies, they give you 30 cents per mile, 29 cents per mile. No, we're gonna change the way that works. Oh no, we paying you by the hour, or we paying you by the load. Make sure you get to the location on time, and in time, you get a percentage of this load. You see what I'm saying? It changed the paradigm. Then the person can actually feed his family, and he's willing to go to work. She's willing to go to work if they can feed their family. $15, $20 an hour. You're not making $300 a week anymore. Now you're making $20 an hour times 40 hours a week. You're making $800 to $1,000 a week. You see what I'm saying? Oh, now you living $4,000 a month. You living. If you can't live off $4,000 a month, you're not a proper money manager then. You see what I'm saying? So now your household is not being affected by not having. I don't have, so I'm gonna go out here and hustle. The dude's automatic. I'm gonna go out here and hustle. Man, the hustle don't get you no money if you don't understand the hustle game. Everybody who sells dope don't become rich off selling dope. It's just not gonna happen. Everybody, you're not a chemist, first of all. You don't know what you're actually doing. You know what I mean? They killing us on both sides. We call ourselves selling heroin, cocaine, pills. This is killing us for real. We're not going with this, you know. And the selected few guys that do make some money out of this, they end up going to prison and go to jail or whatever, and lose everything in the end.
Yeah, because
So
the laws have changed when it comes to that now. I think you
yeah,
get more time for a gun than the dope.
yeah, and that's by design. They already know you're a convicted felon. You don't supposed to have a gun, so you're gonna go out and get a gun because you fearful in society because you hustling again. So now, instead of taking you to jail for the dope, they drop the dope and take you to jail for the gun. They give you 10 to 15 years for the gun. Now you're a slave all over again. You understand? They
13th
understand.
Amendment.
Yeah, they understand the process. They understand the legislation. They put it in place for a reason. Freed you in 1863 and locked you back up in 1865 with the amendment that they had. Involuntary servitude. If you commit a crime, we can put you in prison and you become a slave all over again. We make up what 13% of the population in America. We make up 65% of the population in prison by design. Black slaves all over again, and because our inability to understand, because we moving too fast in the world that's moving fast. I'm out here hustling. No, you getting hustled. You think you selling dope, you getting hustled. They put it in your hand, then they take it back from you. They put it in your hand and take it back from you. Man, we not manufacturing this stuff. You see what I'm saying? We really don't even know how to cook it sometimes. Cooking crack cocaine, putting baking soda in. You don't know what you're doing, man.
Well, let's backtrack on that, what you were saying about the laws. 1863, a law hit. 1865, action took place. 1965, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and where we are today. Everything is based on laws, but how do laws get implemented? Through what we're supposed to do, the voting process, elect these individuals, these legislatures that actually take action on legislation. So we have to really sit back and evaluate this. Our vote count. But we have to select the right person, because whatever's voted on today will affect our grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to be mindful in those actions.
Yeah. I mean, but again, if you're a person that's not leaning toward understanding, then you don't get it. The average 19-year-old guy, he or she is not thinking about going to vote. They're not even fixed on who the candidate is. You know,
we got to have this conversation at the dinner table then.
Yeah, definitely, we need to have them.
If we eat together.
I talked to my children about, did you go vote? What you voting for? Who is the candidate? You know, run. If you feel like you got something to offer to your community, run for office. Run for city council. You know, the city council do majority of the work in the city. The mayor just a face. This is your local city council members. They from different districts. They come up with concepts and ideas. They put legislation into place, ordinances into place in order for you to do certain things. If you don't understand who your city council member is and what their job entails, then your city is not gonna grow. Period. Because they can be in conflict with your local mayor. Your local mayor and city council got to work together in order to provide things in the community. If they're not working together, then ain't no way your your town, your city is gonna grow. It's not gonna grow because the mayor got one agenda, the city council got another one. They can't agree on certain things. Then certain things happen, and whatever different businesses that was gonna come to the city say, nah, this organization isn't organized. We're not gonna bring our big Fortune 500 company to this town. You see what I'm saying? It's not gonna work. We don't see eye to eye. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have the same agenda. How would I bring crime to Monroe if you saying you don't got no facilities to house me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring you 400 jobs. I'm gonna bring you 500 jobs. You don't have a facility to house me. You can't come to agreement on the facility that's available in the city because the city council member is arguing with the mayor about the different building that he wants to provide crime the available space. It don't work.
Right. The Head
But
Start.
yeah, but when you understand what voting is and who's qualified in that particular district out of the three candidates that's running, who's the most qualified, who has understanding to be able to bring the togetherness of the city council and the mayor to be able to provide for the city. Who understands it? I ain't just voting for the most popular person. I'm voting for the agenda. How many people in your district you don't even know? You see what I'm saying? You know, how many households in the city in its entirety? How many households? You got to know these things. How many people of color? How many people are European? How many people Asian? You see what I'm saying? You got to know these different things in order to provide something for that particular community. If you don't know that as a district member or a person who's qualified to run for your city, your local city councilman, this might not be the most qualified person for the job.
Yeah, I mean, you make a point. Understanding your neighbors, but more so, they say on the legislative side, your constituents. You must know who they are in order to properly represent them, and we have to get involved as constituency and become and get in their ear, because sometimes they become overwhelmed with information. So we have to sit down with them on a regular basis and advise them, advocate for what's going on in our own direct communities. So we have to stop being afraid to represent ourselves in our own communities.
Oh yeah, and dialogue about what's the interest, what's best for the community, what's best. Uh, you know, we was talking a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago, about affordable housing in the community. People not wanting to stay on the south side.
Mm-hmm.
They rather stay on the north side than stay on the south side. Why? It's the same land. Beautify the land, put affordable housing there, make sure it's worth living in, the dwelling is worth living in, and then the people will take care of it. Put some mandates in place. Says, look, you know, in certain housing dwellings, housing communities, they have what they call it, a thing in place where your yard can't be grown 5 or 6 inches high.
Yeah,
Homeowners
homeowners.
association. Same thing needs to happen in the community that's affordable house.
Right.
Oh no, you can't have your yard your yard need to be cut. You know, you have to have flowers in front of your window or whatever the case be. You can't have 2 cars that doesn't work in your yard. Put that in place on the south side. Then the beautification of the city or the dwelling where the house is will be looked at differently. Can't be no paper and all of that stuff in your ditch. On side of the road. You can't just throw stuff on side of the road. This and that. Then that beautification of that part of that section of the city will become looked at totally different.
Mm-hmm.
People will want to move there. You see?
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I know back home in Chicago, some of the older communities or the original communities, they don't have homeowners associations, but they have block clubs.
Yeah.
So there's pride on each and every block.
Here they got civic leagues. Where I'm in Virginia, they got civic leagues in the different communities. But you could tell the difference on certain sides of town. South side, always on the south side. Some oh, I don't want to stay over there. You see what I'm saying? Why not? It's about the people understanding in their community, the district, the city council members, the mayor, understanding that you need to come together to beautify all parts of the section, all parts of the district in order to be able to be successful and grow as a community. Don't leave nobody behind. This is about the people. And until we understand that, they say it for the people, by the people, but in actuality, we don't understand that. And that's why you don't grow. If you don't understand the concept, you got to understand the concept and drive it home all the time. That way, the community becomes successful, the state becomes successful, and so forth. Then the whole entire world starts to look like it's a euphoria. You know, it's everything good. A picket fence, house, and a car. You see what I'm saying? All is well.
Yeah, you make a valid point. And so hey, that's our time each and every Saturday. No, I'm sorry, each and every week. Brother Brian and Brother Marcus here on KIEZ 106.7 FM. Brother Marcus, I'm gonna give you the last few words just in case anything you want to share with the people.
I just want to say, man, this is news you can use, man. This platform is something that, you know, we sit down and talk and dialogue with different people in our community as well as ourselves to be able to come up with an agenda so we can move forward and get a new reality, a new lease on life. Because that's what this is about, evaluating all things. This is real, you know. We evaluate everything that comes across the table. We looking at it, you know, and then we deal with it.